For instance, they may send out an email saying RSVP to attend a luncheon for so-and-so. Okay, and it went to everybody at Southside. Well, when you RSVP, you don't need to reply to everybody whether you're going or not, just to the person who sent the email. So it's not necessary for every single person at Southside to know whether you're going or not, just the person who sent the email. So be very, very careful with that one. And I like his comment that the quicker you respond, the shorter your response should be, because if you're taking a long time to respond, then that means you're putting in a lot of thought to your response, and it's going to be longer at that point. But on the other hand, you don't want to make your response so long that it's just can't even be understood. So let's go back to the PowerPoint and finish up with some more do's and don'ts there. The PowerPoint went away, so I'll probably have to do it here. I think this is good. We left off. You should be seeing a slide that says use email for the right purposes. Email does have a few constraints.
We can't see the PowerPoint.
Can't see it. Okay. Let me stop it and start again.
I don't have anything to do with this. That's if you're leaving in January or March.
How about now?
Yes, we can see it now.
Okay, good. All right. Email communication is low cost. Doesn't take much coordination. You do have time to think out your message before you actually send it, and it does provide a permanent record. I think we have seen politically where emails have been stored and years go by and they call them back to document something. So they are permanent records, even when you put them in your trash bin. On the other hand, you do not want to use email for anything that is sensitive or emotional, or if you want to facilitate a discussion, if you want to have a lot of input from people or among all the recipients, you would be better off using some other tool. All of us have heard probably horror stories about someone getting notified that they lost their job by email. That's not an appropriate tool to use, because that is certainly a very sensitive and an emotional communication task. Okay, the next thing you want to do is to make sure that the email is easy to read, and that includes not only the body of the message, but also the subject line. Your subject needs to be short, descriptive. Your message needs to be brief but complete. You need to make sure people know exactly what you expect them to do with that email. Make sure your signature block, which most of us have built into our emails, is descriptive and makes sense to people. And if you are attaching documents, make sure you do that correctly. I myself have constructed emails that are supposed to have attachments and then forgot to attach. So it's an easy thing to overlook, but I noticed that our email programs now, if you say attached will be so-and-so and so-and-so, it recognizes the word attached, and before it lets you send it, it says, you use the word attached here. Did you need to include an attachment? And that's been a lifesaver a couple of times. All right, so we noticed from the very first video that business professionals do spend a lot of time devoted to their email. You can see it looks like the bulk of them between 2 to 5 hours reading and writing email per week for managers, but many managers spend more than 20 hours a week on email. All right, so let's take a look at the email example that is in your textbook. If you cannot read that off of the screen, it is figure 7.2 on page 206. Hopefully you can turn to that in your textbook if you're having difficulty reading this on the PowerPoint slide. This is an example of a bad or a less effective email. We're going to pick it apart and see what's wrong with it. And then we're going to see the same email constructed in a more effective way. Okay? So we can see that this email is going to Stephanie at sunrisereadingcards.com. Okay? No copies going to anybody, but the subject line says agreement. Okay, that is not an effective subject line. It does not give us enough information to know what this is about. I saw that come across my email inbox. I would not have any idea what that means, and I'm not sure if I would actually read it or not. Likewise, the description of the document that's attached is not very descriptive as well. Terms, ... Okay? We know it's a Microsoft Word document. We can open it as a web page, but we don't know what terms mean. Okay, so we get straight into the body of the email, and you'll notice that it is just kind of all jumbled up together there, one paragraph that addresses a lot of stuff, and I'm tired just even looking at it. Great to talk to you this morning. So nice to hear about all your ideas for this event. What event? I think you'll be really happy with how your sponsorship turns out. You'll be happy to know that the rate we negotiated for your sponsorship fee has been approved at $13,500. Also, we discussed the use of your logo. I can confirm that it'll be placed on all the guidebooks. It'll also be placed on all complimentary tote bags. Next, we talk about the size of your booth. The booth will be the largest available size, which I think you'll find just right for your needs, 10 feet by 10 feet. Please open the attached file to find information about computer needs, including information about the projector you're interested in renting. Let me know if you got any questions along the way. Holy cow, that's a lot of different information all in that one paragraph. I would have to go back and read and reread it and realize that I needed to open an attachment as well to understand what this is all about. Now, the signature block has the person's name, title, and the company, but it does not actually give any contact information like phone numbers or fax numbers or email addresses or anything. And then I hate this. So many people do this. They put little taglines where they're supposed to be making you feel better or giving you some words of wisdom or whatever. That is unprofessional in business emails. This person would like give you lemons, make lemonade with a little smiley face. Nice little quote, but not really the thing to do for business emails. So the next slide is going to take that very same email and correct it so that it is more effective. Okay. Again, it looks like it may be a little rough to read off of the screen there, so it is on page, the next page there, 207. The to line is still exactly the same. However, the subject line now says revised terms of sponsorship for the financial literacy fair. That is so much clearer than what we just had in the previous one, which all it said was agreement. Agreement for what? Okay. Likewise, the attachment is named something that makes a little more sense. Not just terms, ... It is sunrise sponsorship terms proposal. Okay, so it's labeled a lot better. We do see the greeting. Hi, Stephanie. Actually call the person by name. A short paragraph. Not one that's just lengthy. And while the email itself may look longer than the previous one, you'll see that it's broken down into components, actually a numerical list to help whoever's reading the email be able to process it. Same information, but just so much easier. You'll even see some words that are bolded so that you can hone in on exactly what is being addressed in each one of those points there. And then we see a pleasant closing. We see the person sign off on it. And for the signature block, not only do we see the person's name, title, and the company, we also see office phone, mobile phone, and email address. So, and I don't have that lemons and lemonade thing down there. Okay? So much more effective communication in that second email than in the first one. Okay, so show respect for other people's time. Be careful when you're sending out a message that you're choosing your recipients carefully. If they are not necessary, then the fewer people, the better. Give them timelines and options. Many programs have the ability for you to use a priority flag. It comes up showing that this is probably a really important email. Be careful about that. That you should respond as quick as possible. If you feel like you need more time, then you should acknowledge that it's going to take a little longer to respond or take action. And avoid contributing to confusing or repetitive email chains, because you'll see that if you reply, it's going to often get bottled down into email that shows up over and over and over again in many people's inboxes. Okay, the greetings and the names, like we used Hi Stephanie in that last effective email. It shows that high morale organizations tend to use some type of greeting word and a name versus the low morale organizations. So this was a study that was done in 2 different types of organizations, and the finding was that those greetings make it a little more pleasant place to work. Avoid indications that you view email as casual communication. Okay, again, it is professional communication. You don't want to use texting words and symbols. your punctuation and your formatting and so on, your spelling should be just like you do for other written business documents, and you should use greetings and names. Couple of things that sometimes come across in emails. It can evoke some emotions in some people, and some people may even spout out some emails that maybe not quite, I guess we used the word rude last week. They're a little more rude than they really need to be. There's a neutrality effect where people who receive messages perceive them as just being neutral when they're supposed to be positive. And there's also an effect where people perceive messages that are supposed to be neutral as negative messages. So remember, when you're communicating by email, you're not able to show that body language. You're not able to give the nonverbal cues. So sometimes the messages are interpreted differently than what they were intended. Flames are emails that are hostile. They have profanity, obscenity, insults. Hopefully you would never get one like this from someone within your organization, but it happens. Okay? Insults especially, maybe not the profanity so much. Cyber silence is when someone does not respond to emails and other types of communication. That kind of leaves you, the sender, wondering whether your message ever got sent properly, or whether the person you intended to get it actually received the message, or are they purposely avoiding you. That's sort of like not answering the telephone when certain numbers show up on your phone. Cyber incivility. That is when your respect and consideration is actually violated based on workplace norms. It can be active, which is a direct form of disrespect, something hurtful being said directly or something condescending being said directly, or it can be passive, which is indirect. Not acknowledging that you received an email, not replying at all would be more of a passive incivility. These are employees who actually stated that their current supervisor had engaged in email incivility. Whoa. It's broken down between female and male. The red line is the female, and the bluish gray line is male responses. Apparently, actively, males have gotten not very nice emails from their supervisors, or excuse me, male supervisors. What does it say? Male supervisors have engaged in email incivility a lot more than females, the active type, by doing things like saying hurtful things, making derogatory remarks, saying negative things that they wouldn't say face to face, putting you down in some way through on the email. Ooh, so male supervisors have a problem with that, it looks like. Females, however, are a little more passive. Okay? They will choose not to reply to your email at all. They don't acknowledge receipt of it. They will use it for discussions that really should have been face to face. and used it for time-sensitive messages. So looks like a lot of that is going on, okay, both active and passive. But it does appear that males and females use different types of incivility. The male supervisors are more likely to be actively negative, and the females are more passive. So what can you do to manage some of these emotions and maintain your civility? You can adjust your perceptions of the email by making more objective, fact-based, less personal judgments and evaluations. And then you can take some time to relax, overcome your anger and frustration so that you can make more rational and less emotional responses to these types of email. Defusing is the use of avoiding escalation and removing tension to focus on the work objectives. So you can diffuse the situation by focus on the work-related, task-related facts and issues in your reply. Focus on the objectives that you're trying to accomplish. You can even suggest a time to meet in person or some other type of communication that'll work a little bit better than email in this situation. So again, let's take a look at some responses to some emails that are not so nice. All right, this one, the less effective response to an angry email is on page 214, if you can't read that. Okay, so apparently this person had received an email from Jacqueline Peacock, and now they're replying to it. And the email subject just said issues. So now Jacqueline is responding, we need to talk about this email when I get back in a week after the holiday. I thought we had a productive conversation, but you obviously were not candid or professional. Also, please empty your voicemail. I tried reaching you several times, only to get your full voicemail. Okay, so very defensive, very attacking, and confrontational response. Okay, the original email said, Hannes, the other day when we discussed the new website, you didn't give me a chance to explain my ideas, and I don't think you made the conversation fair. I tried to explain that your goal of attracting younger customers is good, but we need to create a more interactive website that's plugged into social media if we're going to make this happen. You seem to just want the easiest, quickest solution. Before we start developing the site anymore, let's meet and change things up a bit. So that original email was very accusatory, okay? It used you did this, you did that, or you didn't do this, and you didn't do that. And of course, if you just shoot off a reply right away, you are more than likely going to be very defensive. But let's look at the more effective response there. Again, starting off with a nice little intro. Hello, Jacqueline. Notice that the subject is needing to improve the website, not just response or something of that sort. I'm sorry to hear that you did not think our conversation was fair. I'm glad you're thinking about how we can use the website to better attract younger customers. When we're both back in the office, let's set up a time to discuss plans for the website. Would you be willing to come up with your 3 major ideas to make it more interactive and connected to our social media platforms? So you can see that the person is responding by saying, let's try a different means of communication to deal with this issue. And they're actually actively giving some chance for input in the decision-making process. When we meet, I'd like to get a sense of the resources we would need to commit to your ideas. We need to make sure these ambitious plans make business sense. Would you like to include anyone else in our meeting? Do you think the entire marketing team should participate in this discussion? Enjoy your holiday weekend. Much calmer, okay? Not defensive at all. There's opportunities for the other person to have input, and the focus is on the task, not on the person not doing something, like not having a clean voicemail box. Much better. Now, what about instant messaging, text messaging, that sort of thing? Kind of undeveloped in the workplace. People have different attitudes about it. Okay, it's usually considered to be impersonal, inadequate, sometimes intrusive. And I know that I have seen cases where I have been in a meeting and I'm guilty. I will be texting a coworker at the same time.
Oh, shame on you.
Shame on me, right? But you're sitting there and you're like, oh gosh, here goes so-and-so again. Can he ever shut up? Or something like that, you know? All right. Well, instant messaging has made that available for us to do. And really, really should be careful there. Instant messaging should be used for brief, simple conversations, not for anything important. It should be positive, supportive, and appropriately fun. Don't ask questions you can get answers to yourself. Be careful about abbreviated language, those little smiley faces and acronyms and that kind of stuff. Here's some examples here of people who are using instant messaging differently. Now, this first one looks pretty good. Great presentation to our sponsors, Inez. Count me in to help with the tech support in any way. So you can see that Inez must have made a presentation, got through with it, sat back down, and Jacqueline decides to give him a little pat on the back. Great presentation. I'll help you any way I can. Okay? And Inez responds, thanks, Jacqueline, for helping set up all the computer equipment today. I couldn't have done it without you. And there is a little smiley face there, and that's okay. That's instant messaging is personal, and anybody can pretty much interpret that. Try to avoid sarcasm and jokes. Avoid rescheduling meetings, times, or places. Turn off your sound alerts if you have alerts of messages coming in or emails coming in. Make sure you identify yourself clearly in the exchange. If you've ever been on a text message with somebody and you don't know if they're finished talking or gone to bed or what, okay? Avoid personal messaging during work hours, and avoid sending instant messages after work hours. Establish rules with your colleagues during meetings. All right, now look at this. Jacqueline says, I just got reservation for our 7 p.m. meeting at Roscoe's Teriyaki Bar. It's located at 714 Main Street. Clear. Okay. And look how Inez replies. Now, I'm even as old as I am, I can figure out that GR8 means great. All right, and THS means thanks. But sometimes I don't know what some of that stuff means. And then Jacqueline turns around and says, we have to cancel the meeting. Christine just called and said she has some other plans. And Annette says, MPIM, period, W, other work. Now, I'm guessing that means no problem. I'm buried with other work. But some of these little abbreviations, I don't know what they mean. I either have to pick up the phone and call my daughter and say, what does so-and-so mean, or I have to Google it. Okay? Seriously. So avoid that. And then here's two people that are in a meeting, and they're texting each other. Jacqueline's asking, do you want to bring up the issue of tech support at the literacy fair? I'm not clear about which staff members will be involved. And Hannah says, good idea, I'll raise this issue in a few minutes. That was constructive type of messaging. There's a meeting going on. Jacqueline thought about something that needs to be brought up, but she didn't know enough of the details, so she messaged her coworker, and he says he'll bring that issue up in a few minutes. But here we go. Totally OT. When will this MTG end? What's OT mean? What?
Off topic, maybe?
Off topic, maybe.
Maybe overtime?
We thought overtime over here too, but it didn't make really sense.
I don't know.
All right. Totally, I guess it's off topics makes more
Out of
sense.
this universe?
I think no MTG is meeting. And Hannah says, you know how talkative CR is, and he's got a little sad face. Okay, evidently CR is the person that likes to get up and just keep running on and on and on with the conversation or whatever, whoever CR is. Not a very positive approach to what's going on in the meeting. Guilty. I've done that one before, so I'm going to try to stay positive from now on, now that I know it's actually not a very effective way. We should remain positive as we're constructing these. Okay. Now, we're bombarded with all this digital communication. Here are some more ways that can make it effective and efficient for you. Check your messages just 4 to 5 times each day at designated times, not continuously. Wean yourself off checking your mobile devices constantly. I know this generation has one of their hands has a cell phone stuck to it at all times, okay? Not a good thing. Pick some times to check 4 or 5 times each day. Develop strategies to manage your inbox. My inbox has 20-some thousand messages. I have to admit it. I'm sort of a hoarder of messages because I don't want to lose anything. Like they'll send out minutes from meetings and things like that. If we send them to our trash, then our email automatically empties our trash every 30 days. So I can't go back and find it in the trash can. So I don't want to lose it, but yet I'm too lazy to set up folders and move them into folders and that kind of stuff. Develop strategies to manage that inbox. Turn off message alerts. Okay. I have my cell phone right here. Okay. Normally my phone will ding whenever I get either a text message or an email. Well, I turn them off while I'm in class. You know why? It just would be very distracting if my phone went off and I continuously looked at it while I'm supposed to be teaching. Okay, and we all know that there are times in life when you need to keep a watch on your phone. Maybe something's going on and you're waiting for a message from somebody or something like that. But it is not appropriate to have your phone go off in the classroom or something of that sort. Try using phone conversations to accomplish a task or face-to-face meeting rather than texting. This is one of the biggest complaints that we get from employers who are hiring our students, is that they do not know how to have a face-to-face conversation or a phone conversation. Okay, they are only used to texting. And we all know that when you text, you don't get the benefit of other types of communication to go along with it. Reply immediately only to urgent messages. Okay? Now, I've seen my phone flash, even though I have the notification sound off. So I know I've gotten some messages while I've been here. How utterly rude it would be to pick up the phone and reply to that while I'm trying to talk to the class. I've got one right here that just came in that says I can buy 2 pair of jockey underpants and get 1 free. That came in while I was right here. Okay? Now suppose I picked this up and replied to that while I was trying to teach class. Okay? Just totally not an urgent message by any means, even if the shipping company thinks that it's an urgent.
Crash it.
Okay? Even if Jockey thinks it is. So don't respond immediately to every message you get, and avoid lengthening an email chain. Use automatic messages to help people know when you're unavailable. Most email programs have things set up where you can say, I'm not in the office today, or out of the office, or some other type of automatic message. Now, I caution you, don't do that on social media, because if you're like on vacation, then you're just setting yourself up for somebody to come to your house and steal everything if you're letting the world know you're on vacation this week. Being out of the office can mean several different things. Phone calls, you do need to schedule a plan for your phone calls. Make sure you have quality audio. If you're conducting an important conversation from the phone, you don't want your radio going in the background, or your coworkers talking really loudly. You still want to have a nice and warm greeting and use your caller's name. After you have a small chat conversation there, then go directly to what the issues are. And always speak with a pleasant, enthusiastic voice. Make sure that everyone has a chance to converse, and you want to make sure everybody's using active listening skills, and avoid multitasking. Okay, I see people having phone conversations. They'll put you on speakerphone just so they can do something else while they're still talking to you. You don't want to do that. Take notes on important points and summarize it at the end of the call. Always let the people know you appreciate their contributions to whatever task you're doing, and then follow up on any agreements that you have. So we can see that managers spend a great deal of time on phone calls as well. In the 2 to 5 hour range is the most biggest response there from the percentage of managers there, but some are over 15 hours. This is a nice little sample request for a meeting that gives an agenda for the phone call. So just like any other meeting, if you're having a meeting by phone, you want the people to know ahead of time what you're going to be talking about and discussing. This one actually gives them a place to respond whether they will be or will not be attending. And then the agenda shows exactly what will be discussed. This one has to do with a website.
I have a question. Where do you think they created this? In Microsoft Word or something like that? Because I really like this setup, the way they create format.
I know there are lots of tools out there that you can use. We have, what's it called?
I'm sorry.
Survey Monkey, I think, can be used, but there are also meeting tools where you could, and I'm not sure exactly where, but in your email program there probably is something to develop where the person you're emailing has the opportunity to just respond by clicking on something. Let me see, jump to Appendix 13. Let's see here. Appendix 13? I don't think we have an Appendix 13. Jump to Appendix. Oh, it describes that. That's just a copy of the same thing. Let's see in your book. An invitation with an agenda to your conversation partner. CPR 713. You should be able to develop it within your email program, like Gmail, within Gmail. I'll take a look at that and see if how to create an invitation in email. I'll Google that and see what we can come up with.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Thank
you. Write that down.
Because I was looking in my TDS email to see if I could create something like in this format, and because I really like that, to be able to send it out. And on my smartphone as well, and I'm batting 0.
I know you can do it in social media, because in Facebook I've seen many examples where you just
Facebook to do it over email for a business perspective.
I'll check that out and see if I can find that for you.
Thank you. I'm sorry to be off subject.
Okay, and this is a sample follow-up message. Okay. After you've had the phone call, a message that follows up on the main points and the action items that are required or came out of that conversation. Okay, voice and video calls. Primary thing to do is to practice using it before you make the group call. The technology can be different in every location. Make sure your webcam is working. You're using interactive tools. The person who's leading the group needs to start it with a purpose and take charge over the meeting, and then follow the guidelines for effective virtual meetings. All right, so we looked at choosing the communication channel. We've looked a lot at writing effective emails, how to deal with emotion in your online communications, using messaging, how to combat that overload, and then phone conversations and video conferences. Okay, so I do believe that's the end of the PowerPoints. Let's go ahead and take our break. We'll come back and look at a couple of other little things that I have found, and then we'll look at a little case to see what we think about an email, whether they've done a good job or not. So let's see, I have 3:05, so come back at 3:25. We'll take about 20 minutes. And I'll stop the share. And okay, I sent a notice to the technology person because when I Googled it, my email didn't look exactly like the way that my instructions were saying, and it looked like it was using the calendar feature on email. So hopefully she'll send some instructions back and I can send them out to you guys or something of that sort on how to put an RSVP in there.
Thank you very much.
And we'll all learn something new.
I wonder if Joan Tuck might be able to help us.
Oh, I'm sure she probably will, but you know, I try not to bother the instructors too much during the summer. So Terry Milroy is our technology person, so she should get back to me without a problem. So it looks like I was playing with it in the calendar feature, and I think that's probably one way to do it. So maybe she can give me some details that are a little bit easier to understand.
And it makes so much sense because so many meetings now with at least my business are kind of mobile and on Zoom, and at different times of the day and at night, and to be able to facilitate a meeting like that,
Yeah.
to set it up with a time, with a respond who's going to come, and set it out either via email or even text if somebody could respond.
Yeah, well, we'll see what she sends back, and it will be very helpful for all of us, I'm sure. Okay, let me, I'm going to go to, back to our desktop, and did it go away? Hold on a second. All right, we have nothing up there, so let me share it. I can change this every time I go somewhere. Okay. All right, this is kind of an interesting video about what your emails would look like in real life if people were seeing them in action as opposed to reading them. It's just kind of a funny. This is definitely one that's copyrighted, so I will stop the recording, but it is on Blackboard under email in real life. So hope you enjoy that. It's kind of funny. And hope you'll think again about having some of those things when somebody's actually reading them, or a problem of sending it to the wrong person or something of that sort. So I am going to go to one of the cases that's in the textbook has provided. So let me get to that real quick, and we will talk about, we're going to pick apart an email and see what you think of it. Okay, this is the little case analysis. Get it a little bit bigger for you if I can. Okay. Hopefully that'll help a little bit. Let me get these guys on the way. All right. It just repeats our principles that we learned about email in the beginning there. There are 8 of them, and I'm not going to read those to you. But it also says that, just as a reminder from what we had in this chapter, you should provide a short descriptive subject line, use greetings and closings, keep your message brief, clearly identify expected actions, provide a descriptive and professional signature block, and use attachments wisely. So the email we're going to look at is one that we're going to pick apart and answer some questions about. Okay. The subject is, make sure Jim is doing well emotionally. Please send me files about personnel policy. Woo. Okay. Second line says, hi. Third line. I just talked to Jim by phone. He's having a real tough time with his new team. I think part of the problem is he's going through a divorce right now. So let's make sure we really take care of him during the next few weeks. He's been a loyal employee for so many years that we owe it to him to support him in this time of need. One of Jim's strengths is he's a very sensitive, emotional person. With all that's going on in his life right now, this emotional side of his is really draining and even dysfunctional for him. So please talk to several members of his team and make sure they're supported. Also, I can't seem to find some of the files that I sent you last month. Part of the problem is I'm traveling right now with just my laptop and I'm a bit less organized. Can you send me all the files I've sent about new personnel policies? Thanks a lot. Also, I've been thinking about a lot of new ways of reorganizing our team so that we're getting the most value added based on employee strengths and complementarities. What? We seem to set up our team so much based on individual performance evaluations, but rarely, if ever, contemplate the appropriate mix of personalities and complementary skill sets. So on. So the next month, I'll outline some principles and guidelines that will gradually implement over a 6 to 10 month time period. The ROI for this new team approach will be demonstrable in a variety of metrics. Thanks for all the good work. See you in a week when I get back. In the meantime, please send my best wishes to everyone on the team and others you see in the office. A really important time for all to stick together and focus on supporting one another. Enjoy your week. Steve Goldstein, Business Development First VP, FCT Industries. Email, Skype username. Real patriotism is a willingness to challenge the government when it's wrong.
Wow.
All right. So just give me, rather than asking question by question, let's just hear you all throw out some things that you think are ineffective or bad examples or things that aren't real good.
It sounds like 3 different emails, at least, crammed into one.
Okay, a lot of different subjects going on in there.
Right.
All right, what else? Yes, because it's the personal things in that email, isn't it? I'm not so sure that this is the place to discuss somebody's divorce and their personal, emotional being and you know, things are dysfunctional and all that sort of stuff. So I'm, even in the subject line, you know, I mean, suppose Jim would walk by, or suppose he actually gets a copy of this email, how would he feel? All right, what about the second line, hi?
Hi, who?
Hi, who? Okay. So it would be nice to have some names there, or at least hi team members or something like that. Okay, the hi is good though. Okay. And we've already talked about paragraph 3 there. What about the sending all the missing files? It might be a valid request, but it's buried in here and all these other things, right? How about paragraph 5 about the new organization? He's telling a lot of stuff, but yeah, what are you going to do? Or do you have something as a receiver of this email to do? What's your assignment? What's the action that you need to take? How about paragraph 6? I think thanks for all your good work would be sufficient. You don't have to get into the tell everybody this and best wishes and let's all stick together and enjoy your week. That's just, kind of repetitive. How about that signature block? His name's okay, right? Title, company, email, Skype username. Missing some phone numbers, right? We should probably give out some of those. What about that very last line?
Do away with it.
Just drop it, right? Not appropriate for professional email. Not appropriate. Now let's go on and look at the questions and see if we hit everything there. What's the primary problem with line 1? That's the subject line. It contains information that's not appropriate for emails. That's the one about his emotional problems, okay? What's the problem with line 2? You all hit that one. The greeting was not personable. It said hi, but it didn't, and that hi is fine, but it needed to include some names. Oops. All right, the third paragraph is the one where he talked to Jim and all that sort of stuff. Again, that information is too private and confidential for an email. I would just absolutely be livid if my boss sent out an email saying I was getting divorced and had emotional problems. Evidently this guy had never taken this class. What's the problem with the paragraph that begins with the number 4? That's the where he can't find his files. Can you send the files? This shows disrespect for the message recipient's time. In other words, the person who's receiving this message is supposed to take out time to find all those files that he lost to begin with. Okay? Paragraph 5, that's the one with the new ways to reorganize. What's the problem? It's difficult to read. I know that when I was reading it to you, I was even skipping spots of it. So it is definitely difficult to read. That one went on, and we didn't know what in the world he really wanted us to do, and all that sort of stuff. Problem with the paragraph number 6, that's all the thank yous and enjoy your week and all that sort of stuff. It's too long, that's what we said. We said you got to get rid of some of that. Just over and over, we love you kind of stuff. And then, they didn't go over the signature block, but we know what was wrong with that. Okay? So did y'all learn anything by looking at this? I mean, I think this chapter really taught me stuff that I was doing incorrectly as far as professional emails go. Anybody find out anything that you didn't know already? I hope so. I see some heads nodding, so I would assume that, yes, that there were some other enlightening things there for you. I'm going to flip over to the assignment so that you'll know that there is a special assignment in, this is week 5. Of course, we still have chapter 8 to do on Thursday, but under the week 5 materials, you're going to find your homework for chapter 7 and 8, just like you normally have, those little multiple choice questions. But I have also begun your portfolio of messages assignment. It's not due this week. There's actually 3 parts of this. All 3 parts together are 25% of your grade. So you want to make sure you are doing a pretty good job on these. This is part 1. You will see when I click on it that it tells me it's not due until July 1st. Today is the 19th, so you still got a couple weeks to deal with that one. Okay. What you're doing is there is an exercise in chapter 9, which I have just copied and posted here, so you can actually go to your book and read it. It's easier to read there. But you're going to be looking around for a job or an internship or graduate study listing that you'd be interested in. That job or whatever requires a letter of recommendation, and you're going to be requesting a letter of recommendation from one of your instructors. You're going to construct it just like it's an email. Whichever instructor you want to choose, whether it's me or someone else, you're going to do like a fake email, just like we've done in the textbook. Make sure you're using the subject and all that sort of stuff correctly. Make sure you're doing your greeting and your signature line and all that sort of stuff. There are questions here to help you plan. You don't have to answer these questions in your email, but remember, planning is such an important part before you sit down and write. So if you consider these questions before you write that email, it'll help you a little bit. Also, make sure you are you're doing the paper just like it's told, like you're told to in your syllabus, with double space, 12-point font, margins at 1 inch, that sort of stuff. Use Microsoft Word and just attach it here under attach files. So you go down here, attach files, and just browse the computer after you have written it. Don't use the right submission, okay? Use the browser computer. So you're going to go out of this, out of Blackboard, go into Microsoft, type up your little fake email, save it, and then attach it right here through Browse My Computer. You got a couple weeks to do that, so you can play around with it, come back and ask me questions between now and then or whatever. Due July 1st. Meanwhile, next week I'm going to be posting part 2. We'll have a chance to do some bad news messages and that kind of thing. So I just wanted to make you aware that these assignments are coming up here pretty quickly, because we are this week halfway through. So summer schedule moves fast. It does. Anybody have any questions about that? It's under week 5, so week 5 materials. We looked at all of these, and we still have chapter 8 left to do. And chapter 7 and chapter 8 homeworks are due on Sunday. All right, no questions? All righty, I'll keep you busy the rest of 5.5 weeks, whatever we got left here. So, all right, I will see you all Thursday.
Thank you very much.